Tensions are boiling over in Minneapolis over disturbing videos that show different angles of ICU nurse Alex Pretti being shot and killed by Border Patrol officials. Take a look and be warned, this is disturbing.
That is police brutality! They are hitting that observer! They are kicking them in the face!
The account that federal officials are giving on what happened is vastly different than what a lot of other folks actually saw. Take a look.
To President Trump, this is a moment to act like a leader. We're asking for you to take action now to remove these federal agents.
Thank God we have video, because according to DHS, these 7 heroic guys took an onslaught of a battalion against them or something. It's nonsense, people. It is nonsense and it's lies.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism.
The suspect put himself in that situation. The victims are the Border Patrol agents.
So, people on both sides of the aisle are saying the account from Nome and Bovine does not seem to match what they watched with their own 2 eyes. So the question is, how long can they continue this? They murdered a man. He is standing, he has his phone, and he has a bottle of water. He has his phone and a bottle of water, and they shot him 10 times. What is your thoughts?
Well, I think this is why these people are showing up as ICE watchers and protesting to make sure we have video, because they're not allowing local law enforcement to investigate these moments. So without these videos of bystanders, we wouldn't have seen what happened. But I found it interesting that Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino were saying, oh, this man clearly wanted to do maximum damage. He's a domestic terrorist. The people that seem to be bringing the violence are the ICE agents themselves, and I know there are good ICE agents, but the problem is they're currently recruiting people using imagery from single-shooter games, giving them this vibe that they're coming to get rid of, vermin, and then they're also telling them you have immunity. Stephen Miller's saying you have immunity. J.D. Vance is saying you have immunity. They're not only not going to just win by shooting people, they're not even getting investigated properly. So the administration has spoken and set the tone for this, and that's what we're seeing right now. And that's why people are being killed completely unjustly, because they not only came after him, when you watch those videos from a gazillion different angles, and there's not a lot of gray area, they're also spraying them with a pepper spray before they're not even doing anything. And people have a right to blow whistles, to call out. Those are all protected First Amendment rights. There is no discrepancy there.
And what you just referenced, Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance saying that ICE agents have absolute immunity, that came after the death of Renee Good. So the ICE agents are told they have immunity and they go out and they do it again. They are emboldening and empowering the lawlessness and the abuses of power that are going on by some of these federal agents. And I think that for this government, and they claimed he was brandishing a gun. He was brandishing a camera, as you said. He was brandishing a phone and taking video. Because this government does something that I'm not used to saying about a U.S. government. It lies to the citizens. It lies to the people. And so for them, a camera is just as dangerous as a gun.
Correct.
Because what they don't want is for people to see the truth. They don't want people to see the 5-year-old Liam Ramos, who was detained and used as bait. They don't want people to see little Chloe, a 2-year-old who was detained and sent to a center in Texas. They don't want people to see the 70-year-old elderly U.S. citizen man, Mr. Tao, who was dragged out of his shower practically naked into the snow. They don't want people to see the cruelty that they are inflicting on women, on children. And so what Alex
on
Pretti was
American
doing...
citizens.
Citizens, residents, people with pending asylum claims. They want you to believe that they are taking murderers and rapists and serious criminals off the streets. If that, in fact, was true, they would be showing us evidence and we would all be clapping. But that is not what they are doing. What they are doing is lying to the American people. And they are lying about Alex Pretti. So I will ask your indulgence because I want to read the statement from his parents. Because I can only imagine the pain of seeing your son killed and then seeing your government lie about him, calling him a domestic terrorist who wanted to massacre federal agents. So this is what they said. Michael and Susan Pretti. We are heartbroken, but also very angry. Alex was a kind-hearted soul who cared deeply for his family and friends, and also the American veterans whom he cared for as an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA hospital. Alex wanted to make a difference in the world. Unfortunately, he will not be with us to see his impact. I do not throw around the term hero lightly. However, his last thought and act was to protect a woman. The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs. He has his phone in his right hand and his empty left hand is raised above his head while trying to protect the woman ICE just pushed down, all while being pepper sprayed. Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. So I am begging you to do what these parents are asking us to do, to amplify the truth, amplify these videos, amplify this message so that this government cannot get away with gaslighting the American people.
I mean, I think my mental state today after spending the weekend watching these videos over and over and over again is fragile just because I always believed in the rule of law, right? I've dedicated my life to enforcing the rule of law, studying the law. When I was a prosecutor, I pledged to the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution. And to see the lawlessness by the United States government is something that is deeply disturbing. Not only did we see 2 unjustified killings, 2 unlawful killings of 2 American citizens who were, by the way, watching out for their neighbor. Yeah. The bedrock of our democracy is to watch out for thy neighbor, watch out for the community. And we see this happen in front of us and the government, as you said, Anna, lying to us. But there are also killings that ICE is committing that we don't get to see. 32 people in 2025 were killed during or died in ICE detention. We don't know about what happened there. In 2026, there have already been 6 people who have died in ICE detention. And so you see things, I think, in this country that we abhor about other countries and talk about it, about other countries. And I do think that this is an inflection point. I think that Alex Pretti's death, while such a horrible tragedy, may indeed lead to some kind of change, because I have never seen this type of groundswell from Americans that I saw this weekend, quite frankly.
And I want to jump off of that because I also woke up angry and I'm like, this is the world I'm bringing a child into. It's an America I don't recognize today. And I'm so sick of my party saying to people, if you care about border security and you care about getting criminal and undocumented migrants out of this country, you have to tolerate this. That's not true. This is incompetence by law enforcement and it's cruelty by law enforcement. And they're also arguing at this point, and we're going to get into the Second Amendment aspect more, but you basically have to give up your First Amendment right. Your First Amendment right to peaceably assemble, to film, to show up at a protest. Your Second Amendment right to lawfully carry a firearm, which, by the way, was taken off of his person before he was shot 10 times.
Yes.
And you have to give up your Fourth Amendment right to not be unlawfully searched or seized. Now they're saying that they can go to your door, they can drag you out in the snow, even if you're a U.S. citizen, they can search your home and they don't need a warrant to do it. Like, do we stand for anything if not for basically half of the Bill of Rights at this point? Like, that's where I'm completely lost. But I'll remind you of this. 140 million people are snowed in right now, and they're glued to their TVs. And the administration can say whatever the hell it wants. We have our eyes and we have our ears and we know what we saw.
We've all
and this
seen
is
those
a tide
videos.
shift. I'm seeing it from every corner. My least political friends, celebrities who never weigh in, politicians, a good number of Republicans are coming out. I want to see far more, but are saying this needs a thorough investigation. It's devastating, and I hope people will wake up.
And and frankly, you know, I don't know what you're investigating if you're not investigating the straight up murder. The straight up murder. This is the second one. The second murder of an American citizen who is doing what they are. You haven't gotten rid of the Bill of Rights yet. So people don't know that we're not supposed to go out and do this. So I don't understand what you're investigating. You see it. You're not blind. And if you don't see it, it's willful. Because you're not looking. You can't sit by this. Chrissy Noem, you can't justify this. Mr. what is his? I don't want to.
Bovino.
Mr. Bovino, you can't justify this. You can't justify either one.
No.
And we all see it. And we see you for what you are. You all have blood on your hands.